Hello everyone, it's Adam Hurd with 973 Ramp, and it is good to be back making content again. Today we're going to be talking about angle brackets, and I'm honestly more in love with these than just about any COTS item we've found recently. A lot of teams have routers now. We've had routers for a while, and can easily make 2D plates, but don't necessarily have the means to go 3D very easily. So I've been looking for years for a low-cost angle bracket that wasn't super big, that was standardized on a number 10 fastener or a 3/16 rivet, and was nice and small, could fit in a lot of stuff. And I stumbled across these towards the end of the 2015 season, I believe, on DigiKey. I'd been looking at mechanical suppliers for a while, and I never thought to check electrical stuff. So these are Keystone 4337 is the part number. Every team gets a $50 DigiKey voucher, at least the last couple of years you have. So you can come down here and so you can get 250 for $42, or I think what we do is the 1,000 or something, get a whole bunch. But highly recommend picking these up, and let me show you a couple places where we have used these. So we only used them in one spot this year, and that's when we went to add a wrist for our second regional, and then we used that wrist for champs. We used it to take the corner between this angled wrist tube and the cross tube here. Since these two tubes weren't in line, we had an angle offset there. We couldn't just top and bottom gusset them, so we just threw a whole bunch of angle brackets in here to make that connection. So it is a lot, and if you were making these by hand or something, that quantity would be miserable. But when you buy these in quantity, they're 13 cents each. It's really no different than riveted a bunch of stuff. You can see that the angle bracket does have a slot on one side. What's nice though is that the peak dimension of that slot is the same dimension from the edge as the center of this hole, so you can kind of ignore it being there. And because we patterned in SolidWorks, you can't see it here, but typically when we install this, the kids know to do a hole here, slot here, hole here, so that you spread out that, and you're not able to pull away from that one side. So we jumped to our 2017 robot. We used them in a whole lot of places. And some of these places, now that we have a Markforged printer, we would definitely print versus use the brackets. But a lot of these places, we still would have used the brackets. So one of the first things we want to look at is we used it to get this polycarb plate at an arbitrary angle, just as a camera mount here. You can see it interfacing with other 2D parts. And then we have a similar camera mount under here. And this is kind of cool because I have a Pixie cam at one angle, and we have, I think that's a Logitech camera that that we streamed through the gear mechanism, have that at a different angle. And we're able to get these 3D structures at arbitrary angles fairly easily with just 2D parts. You can see it mounts to the robot with the brackets. The plates holding the camera is mounted with brackets. We used it quite a bit in our ball path. So you can see we've got an angled polycarb bottom, and just got a bunch of brackets there. And yeah, it looks like a lot, and that would be tedious if you're making them custom, but since they're so cheap, it's really almost free to throw that many in there. If we zoom around here, you can see the wood back of our conveyor wall, which actually served as quite a bit of structure of our shooter tower, was all held down with angle brackets. The regional version of our hood was polycarb with standoffs, but for champs we went to this bent aluminum version so that we could line this with some 1/2-inch foam. And that was held in with these brackets, and we found that we didn't predict the angle offset quite right with the foam, but we were able to come in and stack washers between this bracket and this plate to force an angle change. So that was kind of cool. The original version of our hopper was purely static. It was this one big polycarb guy, and that was a huge pain to make. That was a real bad design decision. We should have just used angle brackets for a lot of these interfaces. I think 2056 did something similar to that. But even in that static version, you can see it's kind of hidden in CAD with the changes. The hopper did interface to our shooter tower with some brackets. So we then went to an expanding hopper, and then this connection was removed, and we added this tube and these cylinders in. And we used the brackets fairly heavily for that. We used the brackets here to give us a connection point, and this is just poor modeling here. That's actually connected to that pin there. We used the brackets here to give us kind of a tail clevis. You come up here, and we have two brackets here. And the reason we have two here is these brackets are kind of a soft sheet metal, so they don't hold this corner super well in isolation. So we were a little worried if we just did one bracket that it wouldn't hold up that well. And then also that bracket could rotate around. So by doing two back to back here, that's just a lot more rigid, and they're only 2.3 grams each, which is probably, I think it's about 190, 200 of them to a pound, so you just don't take a big weight hit here. Obviously, we have another bracket here, same thing going on. I think we might have had a second, I don't remember. The front wall of the hopper was held in by this bracket, and then as soon as the side expanded, would fall forward. So that was another good use of it. Let me see if we got any more spots on here. I think that might be it. So yeah, these are absolutely great. I mean, it's such a small little detail, but them being so cheap and so many teams having routers now, it's definitely worth picking up a few hundred and using them to save a couple hours when you hit that spot in season. So all right, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe because we're going to be putting out a lot of new content soon.